Greetings. By virtue of your presence watching this video today, I want you to know that we consider you to be an extended member of our family at Unity in Linwood. We believe that you are an individualized expression of that one creative impetus which stands behind all life, and as such we celebrate the uniqueness which you are, and we celebrate our unity with you. We are glad you're with us.
3 events. An employment visioning lunch. If you would like to give rise to a new way of expressing yourself in the world, shall we say, we offer a lunch. It is a brown bag event. Come as you are. It includes the presentation of a spiritual idea, a short time of meditation, and beyond that, camaraderie, friendship, support. Stephanie Barton, this will be her second appearance at Unity in Linwood. She's offering a public event called Angels Among Us, Messages from the Other Side. It's exactly what it sounds like. This event occurs at 6:30 p.m. It is offered at a suggested love offering of $20. We do ask that you register at the Welcome and Information Station. And finally, as it was spoken last week, it seems that humanity is taking sides, building teams, gathering arms, and growing apart. That humanity is creating others with unprecedented vigor and animosity. To speak to anyone in this room, I think perhaps, in our belief that this effective dehumanization of each other, whether that otherness is born of race, religion, orientation, gender, politic, age, or otherwise, is counter to the very evolution of us as a planetary family. We invite you to join us for an event called Dinner with Others. Share a story, shake a hand, laugh, eat, connect. Let us rehumanize each other as brothers and sisters at a global table. For the greater good of all. These events are facilitated by Rabbi Ted Falcon and Linda Babin. Again, we ask that you register in the back. Today we talk about forgiveness. Anybody in here need to have this conversation today? Anybody have any forgiveness work to do at all? Okay, so 2 people. Thank you both. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. I'm going to present to you a radical new twist on it, how quickly we associate forgiveness with something of the shadow, how quickly we associate forgiveness with something of what has brought us discomfort. And yet I think its application goes far beyond that. So welcome to a new series. It's called Principles and Practices. And the answer is yes. That is little Richard Held as an undergraduate. Very undergraduate, I might say. Thank you. Truth of that is I'm in that photograph playing the piano on the stage at the State Mental Institution in Osawatomie, Kansas. I will tell you no more of that story. Ask the person next to you. I'll take whatever decision they issue. I love hanging out with clever people. Well done. Well played. Well played. I like to think of this series as being what I might call a 5th tenet series. Okay? Now, what do I mean by a 5th tenet series? What I mean to communicate by that is that Unity has about 5 core ideas that are agreed upon by perhaps 80% of most Unity leaders the majority of the time. That's really as good as it gets in Unity. I'm just going to tell you the truth. And the 5 tenets are, to review, something akin to the following. Unity is a teaching of one. What I mean by that is that there is one ultimate reality, by whatever name you choose to call it. Okay? And we are all united in that one ultimate reality. We're all expressions of that one ultimate reality. And as people have gathered together to share of their exploration and their experiences of that ultimate reality, religions come into being. And religions become the lenses through which we explore and experience that ultimate reality. But the truth being that above religiosity, there is a field. And it's a field of oneness. And it's our oneness in God. It's what I love about Unity in Linwood. I love that Christians and metaphysicians and Buddhists and Jews and our Catholic priests and our agnostics and our atheists can come together and be in this room in great love, in curiosity and respect, and in open-hearted conversation. I absolutely love that. So Unity's first tenet says that there is one ultimate reality by whatever name you choose to call it, and because we gather in buildings such as this on mornings such as this, let's just agree to call it God. You see, the devil didn't make you do anything. Sorry about that. Unity's second tenet would say that because there is one ultimate reality that breathes, that inspires, that sources all life, that you, in fact, are part of that ultimate reality. You cannot stand outside of it. You cannot be the great exception to it. Thank you, Reverend Nina Clark. Which means that the very nature of that ultimate reality is your highest nature as well. This ultimate reality knows itself to be life, to be wisdom, to be love, to be sufficiency. So too is the highest part of you life and love and wisdom and sufficiency. Fair enough? Unity's third tenet says that there is a creative core to you, that there is something of a consciousness at work within you that is ever seeking to prove itself through you. In a sense, it is ever drawing you into mirror experiences of itself. Okay? There is a creative core to you that is forever involved in a co-creative dance with that ultimate reality, and it outpictures on the very screen that is your human life. Unity's fourth tenet says the good news about that is that if you don't like the way your film is appearing on the screen of life, you can change that core self of you. You can grow in consciousness. We can do this as individuals, and we can do this collectively. And I happen to believe that the very consciousness of society, of humanity, is in a time of radical change and growth. Amen. I truly do. I truly do. And the way that we grow, the way that we can evolve that consciousness, is through the practice of various spiritual technologies. They include things such as, prayer, meditation. Do you have a spiritual practice? What about service, study? I think excellent music is a consciousness-changing spiritual discipline. Let's pause for a moment of prayer. We're at the fourth tenet. Let's just pause there. Let's take a deep breath together. And let's come together and let's practice this for a minute. Let's dance in this idea. And let us begin with the bold assertion that God is. Let's just begin there. God is. God is. God is. Let's begin with the bold and obvious assertion that God is in this place and in this time, in the same way that God has been in every place and in every time since the beginning of all places and in the beginning of all times. Indeed, there is no spot where God is not. So we begin with the bold assertion that the God of my understanding must be right here, as close as my next breath. So here I am in the presence of life. Here I am in the presence of wisdom. Here I am in the presence of love. Here I am in the presence of sufficiency. And where there would appear to be a relative argument, where there would appear to be a departing experience, I hold it in my mind's eye, and to it I speak the words, I am life expressing. That's the truth of me. Where there would appear to be something of a discord, something of an incompletion, I hold it in my mind's eye, and to it I speak the words, I am love expressing. That's the truth of me. Where there would appear to be a confusion, incongruency, I hold that situation in my mind's eye, and to it I speak the words, I am wisdom, expressing that is the truth of me. Where there might appear to be lack, insufficiency, deficit, I hold that in my mind's eye, and to it I speak the words of that higher reality place within me. I speak it, I am sufficiency expressing. That is the truth of me. Life, love, wisdom, sufficiency. I open my heart, I open my mind. I allow myself to be elevated into that consciousness. And if there would be anything lesser in me pretending to argue, I declare in this place and in this time my willingness to have it dissolve, to have it fall away, to have it roll back into the nothingness from which it arose, knowing that it has no life of its own, that I might stand forth anew. A brighter light, a clearer vehicle for a planet that longs to remember. And so it is. Amen. So when I say this is a fifth tenet series, the fifth tenet says that it's one thing to show up on a Sunday morning and be delighted for an hour, but it's what you do with it on a Monday morning that will truly become causative to your experience in life. The fifth tenet basically says it's one thing to know it, it's an entirely different thing to do it. So my goal in this series is to offer you an idea. I sure hope there's one in there. It's to offer you an idea and then to offer you a practice. Fair enough? It's a lot like being in summer school, really. Spiritual summer school. So I'd like to practice some words with you from the beginning of our service. Will you do that with me? I free you. I free you. Even that feels good, doesn't it? I free you. I free you. To be exactly as you were. To be exactly as you were. We're addressing our past. I free you. I free you. To be exactly as you were. So I began to look for material for this series, and I began to read old talks and to gather ideas, and I just thought I'd share some of them with you. I mean, these are all rejects, really. How about this one? You are quirky and peculiar and odd. You are quirky and peculiar and odd and all the other things you've feared for so long because it is in your spiritual makeup to be so. So deliver a full, unrestrained dose of yourself, trusting that it must serve a noble purpose. End quote. What do you think of that one? Oh, I'm so glad. And yet we're not talking about that one today, so take a deep breath with me. How about the second one? The problem isn't that today's world lacks brilliant minds. The problem is that today's world lacks courageous souls. You can't clap for all of them. You're going to get tired. You're going to get tired. If God is life, then we honor God by living boldly and fully with neither false humility nor sheepish restraint. I'm not going to talk about that one. What about this? God's work in our lives can be no bigger than the containers we provide. Oh. It's ironic, really, to truly follow the radical rabbi, social reformer, teacher of human equality and loving kindness, whom we call Jesus, is to reject much of what society calls Christian. That one's a passionate one for me. I think there's very real truth in that. You know, the ministry of Jesus, the rabbi, and the ministry about Jesus have departed in some significant ways in the hands of many. Just allow that possibility to sit with you, please. If you get nothing else, allow that. What about this? God doesn't know the difference between what you want to create and what you want to avoid. God only knows what you think about. Or this, prosperity is not the experience of owning, because from the spiritual perspective, you own nothing. From the spiritual perspective, you will always own nothing. So properly understood, prosperity becomes the experience of experiencing. How's that for a reframing on your IRA? There's no such thing as beginner's luck. There is only beginner's mind. There is only an understanding that an infinite and unlimited power sources you in every moment, and a willingness to surrender the lower selves of us to that power in all human circumstances. It's what you believe about the thing. It's where your consciousness is in the matter that contributes most to the outcome. Always with the responsibility bit he goes, right? How about this one? Don't pray for a changed life if you're not willing to entertain a changed mind. That's mine, I'm telling you. Let's not continue to blame God for the experiences which humanity perpetuates. Let's not continue to shake our fists at the effects of our own unexamined prejudices, our own deep-seated fears, our own crusty traditions, our own greedy appetites. Or how about this? We don't pray when we jump in the shallow end of the cosmic pool and roll around in the stale waters of disease and confusion and lack. We pray when we dive into the deep end of infinite possibility and invite those in the shallow end to swim out and meet us. And finally, forgive us. Would be easier to spell. Forgiveness isn't best perceived as a single act to be performed, as it is an ongoing consciousness to be achieved. This one we talk about this morning. So let me read it again. Forgiveness isn't best perceived as a single act to be performed, as it is an ongoing consciousness to be achieved. Doing okay with that? Lynn, how did that new van work for you this morning? Did you enjoy it? For those who were not here last week, somebody walked up a couple weeks ago and handed over a title and said, "Here's your second van." Simple as that. So we took it out, detailed it up, and Mr. Lynn's ministry is riding high. like to start with a question. What is it that would prevent you from living your highest self? That's our operative question for the morning. What is it that would prevent you from living from your highest self? And regardless of the answer, it's a target for forgiveness work. And don't we knee-jerk to that which has caused us discomfort? Don't we knee-jerk to that which has brought us pain? Our forgiveness work, we have a paradigm in which our forgiveness work lives in a container of pain, don't we? And our world's traditions are brimming with stories that support this. I mean, there were two Zen monks who were taught to be walking through a village on a rainy day, and they encountered a woman with many, many packages. She was unable to cross the street because of the water, which was freely flowing, and so the monks stopped. The elder of the two hoisted the woman onto his back, carried her across the street, placed her back on solid ground, and the monks went on their way. And it was shortly thereafter that the younger of the two monks said, hey, not so much as a thank you from her. And the elder said, you know, I put that woman down miles back. Why do you insist upon carrying her still? And from the Buddhist tradition, there's a story told of the Buddha himself. A businessman's children were in meditation with the Buddha. The businessman became angry with the Buddha, thinking that the children should be out earning money. So the businessman confronted the Buddha in the temple. Coming face to face with the Buddha, he had no words. He had no words. He had no words. So finally he simply spat in the Buddha's face, and the Buddha just smiled. Well, this was disconcerting to the businessman, to be sure. He went home. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He had the countenance of the Buddha's gentleness emblazoned upon his memory, if you will. So he went back to the Buddha the next day and sat before the Buddha again and said, I really need to apologize for that. That was not so good. He said, please, will you forgive me? And the Buddha said, no, I won't forgive you, because the man who did that is no longer here. He's no longer here. And in that particular fable, the story actually is broader in context. The Buddha actually is reported to have said that the men between whom that happened, they don't exist any longer. Isn't that a beautiful idea? They're not here. They're not here. And of course, in the Judeo-Christian tradition, the stories are equally plentiful. It was Jesus who told a story about the unforgiving servant. It was a servant who was freed from servitude by his master, only to go out and to refuse to grant the same emancipation to others. And of course, he found himself back in servitude. This idea of forgiveness was very important in the Judeo-Christian writings. There are a couple different Greek words from which the word forgiveness is derived. The nice thing about Jesus is, while it was very important in his teachings, he never defined it. He never said how to do it, which is great for people who do what I do for a living, because I get to make it up. I get to make it up. You know, I think it's interesting that in the Lord's Prayer, it is the one line that implies a condition. Think about that. That it is, for those who would desire a consciousness of forgiveness, they must participate in a consciousness of forgiveness. Isn't that a beautiful idea? So this idea of forgiveness, what is it that would prevent you from living your highest self? Our knee-jerk answer is, well, of course, it is attachment to past pain. Now, where the conversation gets more interesting is I don't believe it ends there. In fact, I think that's the obvious answer, because I believe it is in our attachment to our past pleasure that we find the sleeping culprit. You know, there are taverns across this country of ours filled with middle-aged men showing off their class state championship football rings from 1972. Still driving that Trans Am. It was Jack Bowen who said, you know, what is it about the human creature that would so allow his or her good to get in the way of his or her better? So you see, it's not the pain necessarily that I think is the culprit in forgiveness work. I think it's the mediocrity. Because in pain, we'll turn it around real quick. It's in our mediocrity. It's in our desire to recreate our past supposed victories, to cling to our previous achievements. That will prevent you from living from your highest self. So while we exist in a paradigm in which we would think that forgiveness has to do with pain, I would say no, forgiveness, my friends, has to do with attachment. You are eternally unfolding soul stuff. That's where you are. There is no place in your spiritual DNA for attachment. Fair enough? Take a deep breath. Charlie's going to join me on a meditation. You have the opportunity to use your words. Would you like to review them? I free you to be exactly as you were. There's forgiveness. We free the past to be exactly as it was. We're not talking about condoning something. We're not talking about arguing for unenlightened behavior. We're saying that by freeing the past, we position ourselves to become people of a solution, people of a higher wisdom. Take a deep breath, close those outer eyes with me. And let's just ask the question of the morning. What is it that would prevent me from living from my highest self? And allow that image, whatever comes to mind, allow it to appear on that screen before you, and objectively observe it. Let's just breathe for a moment, and to that image we simply say, I free you to be exactly as you were. Together, I free you to be exactly as you were. And the light comes up, the screen fades to white. So we ask again, what is it that would prevent me from living from my highest self? And we allow an image to come to mind. Could it be a past achievement? Could it be a habit? Could it be a seeming glory? Because if I've attached to it, it has attached to me. So allowing that image to be on the screen before me, I simply breathe and say, I free you to be exactly as you were. Together, I free you to be exactly as you were. What is it that would prevent me from living from my highest self? Is it a limiting idea, a small belief? A dysfunction? Even something we consider to be noble. We allow it to appear on the screen. We simply take a breath, and to that image we say yet again, I free you to be exactly as you were. Together, I free you to be exactly as you were. Breathe with me. To all that would prevent me from living from my fullest self, I free you to be exactly as you were. The freedom of an eternally unfolding soul, unencumbered, light. We allow a smile to rise on our lips. And we allow our eyes to gently open.
Perhaps you've noticed a theme this morning of letting things go. And this song is called, starts out, letting it go, letting it fly. How can you know if you'll laugh or cry? You jump in the river of life. So now you're a swimmer. It's in your eyes. And I invite you to sing this with me. I'll sing a line, then you echo it, okay, on the verses. You can relax on the chorus. So this is how it'll go. Letting it go. That's not the right key. Here, I did it again. Letting it go, letting it go, letting it fly, letting it. There you go. How can you know if you'll laugh or cry? You jump in the river of life. So now you're a swimmer. It's in your eyes.
Thanks again for joining us. Please visit unityinlinwood.org for a preview of all upcoming classes, services, and events, and for an opportunity to make a gift to our community should you so choose. Thank you.